I want us to go to Romans chapter 12. I want us to go to Romans chapter 12 in Jesus' mighty name. I'll be sharing a little bit from this chapter for a couple of times. Every now and then I'll be coming back to Romans 12 because I believe it has what I can call the Christian code of conduct in a few words, yet they are broad. So there are so many things that he says in this chapter, but then I want to just read one phrase here in Romans 12 and verse 18. Romans 12 and verse 18, that's where we're going to be today. And I'm going to be talking about living at peace. Living at peace. He says in Romans 12 verse 18 that if it be possible, as much as lies in you, live peaceably with all men. So I'm not talking about you living at peace with yourself, but I'm talking about you living at peace with all men. As far as it is possible, another version says, as far as it is possible for you, be at peace with all men. And another version puts it this way, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live in peace with all people. And you know, sometimes it is something that you need, not them. Well, what do I mean by this? Some of us are so complaining about everybody. But why is it that you are complaining about everybody? Why is it that you can't work with this one, you can't work with that one? Some people, you look at them and immediately you say, I don't think we shall connect. Now, that is not a Christian way of doing things. That is not a mature way of doing things. You have to understand that it is upon you to choose to live at peace with all people. So, what does that mean? It means that it is going to take some effort quite a number of times. It is something that we do intentionally. He's not saying it is going to happen automatically, that you will live at peace with people. But he is trying to say, strive, do your best, do whatever you can to make sure that you live peaceably, that you be at peace with all people. Now, he puts some degree of ability here. He leaves some room for you to fail to live at peace with some people, because there are people who will hate you no matter what. There are people who will decide to be your enemies even before you have done anything to them. There are people who are bewitching you when you have never done anything to them. And whether you want it or not, whether you try to live at peace with them or not, they just don't want to live at peace with you. There are people who just don't want that. They are the Hamans of this world who will hate you and decide to kill you simply because you refuse to bow down to them. Can you imagine that? They set a law one day that is not set by anybody, and they say, I want everybody to bow before me. And if you, Mordecai, you refuse to bow down before them, and immediately they decide that you deserve a death sentence. And from that day, they hate you, they hate your family, they hate your clan, they hate your tribe, and they say they will never be at peace with you or anybody like you. There are people like that. And no matter what you do, you're not going to change their mind. So it is not 100% in your power. But he says, if it is possible, as far as it is possible for you, and I want you to widen the scope of that possibility. Some of us, the scope of that possibility is so narrow. You are only able to live at peace with a few people of a certain caliber, of a certain character, of a certain temperament. Your scope of living at peace with all people is so narrow because you are so picky, because you are so sensitive to everything. You are so easily offended. If you're going to learn to live at peace with so many people, you gotta change that. It is not everybody else to change. It is not the whole world to change. It is you that has to change. You cannot be always being offended, every time offended, kantu katono nnyo nga gwokola entondo, kantu katono nnyo nga gwonyiize, kantu katono nnyo ng'enkya toyagala kukwata simu. You cannot live at peace with people if you are always easily offended. So if you are to live at peace with as many people as possible, the first thing is you have to become a kind of person that is not easily offended. I want you to pray for that God will give you a heart that is not always easily offended. Secondly, still connected to the first one I said, you gotta be somebody that is tolerant. Your level of tolerance must rise. You cannot always be quarreling about everybody, complaining about everyone who hasn't done everything, and everything is about complaining. No, you have to leave room for understanding that people are not perfect just as you are not perfect. But you know, some of us are the only perfect people in our world, and everybody else just keeps messing up things. And if you can never spend a day without complaining about people messing up things and getting offended over it, then you need to mature up. You need to mature up. The problem is not them. This time the problem is with you. You have to get to a point whereby you can also understand that probably I got the problem. Why is it that everybody is always imperfect in your sight, and for you are always perfect? When you live like that, you can't live at peace with all people, because every other time you are going to be at loggerheads. Every other time they need to repent before you, they need to apologize. It is like there is always that tension between you and people. And some of us, this is how it is at the workplace. You are there, but people fear to even touch your pen because that may start a war. Can you imagine that? Now, that is being childish if you're a Christian. You have to come to a point whereby those small things do not spark out wars at the workplace. You have to learn to broaden that scope of how far you can live at peace with all people. Sometimes you're not going to agree with what they want. Sometimes you won't be in agreement with their choices, but that doesn't mean you can't live at peace with them. You can have the ability. Don't be like some of these opposition politicians who just choose war and violence and defiance no matter what. Whether they have lost and they know they have lost, whether they know they are the ones in the wrong, whether they can see something good on the other side. For them, they just choose to say no. No, we cannot have peace. No, we can't agree. No, you can't live that kind of life. There comes a point whereby even if you disagree, you can agree on the fact that we can live peaceably regarding some things. Yeah, you don't want that, and me, I want that, I want that, you don't want it, and but we can live at peace. It is a mature thing to do, especially if you say that you are a Christian. Not everybody is going to be praying from your church. Not everyone you are going to meet is born again. Not everyone has the same work ethics as you. Yet you can still create an environment where you live at peace with people, where you are not always at war. It is a Christian thing, not just a good thing, and is a maturity aspect of your Christian life. So, child of God, I want to encourage you, as much as is possible, of which it should be so possible, 90% possible, 99% possible, as far as it is possible, choose to live at peace with all people. Even if you don't agree with everybody, let everyone look for something to talk about you at that workplace, and everybody will say, there is a way you live peaceably with everybody. There is a way you connect with everybody without compromising. I'm not saying compromise so that you can fit in, so that you live at peace with the drunkards. You support their drinking so that you can be at peace. No, you don't compromise the standard. You don't try to compromise your values, but yet you find a way of making sure that you live peaceably with all people. I pray that you learn that, pray about it, think about it, make it possible in Jesus' mighty name. That is your word for today.